So, you're watching the Hornthrowers podcast, and you'll notice that Rob isn't here this week because he is sick. But I am Olivia, and I am joined by, very aptly, because of the split coming out, Lost Tag and Bury Them and Keep Quiet. How are you both doing?
Hi.
How are you?
I am fine. I haven't done one of these on my own before. Rob has, so I'm the shy one usually. So
I think you're doing a really good job so far.
thank you very much. I try. So we'll start off usually talking about like what you got going on. So you both got this split coming out on Friday, which was announced yesterday, which I knew about before.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
how did that come about?
I feel like it turned into a split because I kind of forced my way in. Eleanor posted something on. Wait, was it Eleanor or Barry-Ann? One of the two
Darian
posted.
called me Thea's own Enya, along with the song Only Time, and you messaged me and said, "Oh, I should cover this." And I was like, "I'm already covering an Enya song. Let's like do a thing."
Yeah, yeah, and that's how it happened. So it was really me just inserting myself into a situation that I wasn't invited into, and then I just happened to fit in really well with some cool people. So.
Oh,
Which is kind of how
is
I
that
lived life mostly.
I'm just
I was
curious as to
more than
how you
happy. I was really stoked that you showed any interest at all to begin with.
I'm just
Yeah, of
curious as
course. I
to.
mean,
Oh,
oh,
sorry.
sorry.
I
No,
was
no, what
gonna
were you
say I was
saying, Olivia?
curious as to how you were Fia's Enya.
Wait, what?
You said you were
Oh,
Fia
because I
Productions
think I
Enya.
just kind of like have a similar haircut, post about her a lot, and know too many facts about her. But other than that, you'd have to ask Varian because I don't really feel like, I don't know. Enya's rich and lives in a castle. Maybe I'm like just as reclusive. I don't go out to social gatherings much.
The only thing I know about Enya is just that she's done some Lord of the Rings stuff. I'm not a diehard Enya fan, whereas Rob is. So if he was
Yeah,
here
so
today, he'd have
she
the
lives in
facts.
a castle. She lives in the Manderley Castle in Dublin, Ireland. And so that's the castle that we have featured on the cover of the split.
I did see that you posted that, and I think you made it look pretty cool because you did the cover, didn't you?
She
Yeah, I
did.
just kind of photoshopped it onto a hill to make it look less like, I don't know. All the photos are like from outside looking in, and she's got this massive fence because apparently she had a bunch of issues with stalkers and a break-in in 2005. And so she has to have this extra fortified castle, which I think is fascinating. And then she just hides out in there all the time, being a reclusive lady.
I envy that a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm. Me
Wish
too.
I didn't have to leave. Um. So yeah, how did you both decide which songs you were going to do then?
I had already had mine picked out beforehand. I just really liked the song I Want Tomorrow. I had been listening to it a lot at the time.
I'm very much a
That's it.
fair weather Enya. Um, my memory of Enya is very much from the Pure Moods commercials when I was a kid in the 90s, um, which has not. What song did I do? Only Time. It definitely has not Only Time on it. It's a different song, but it was around that time when soft what would that be called, world
There
music
was a comp called Chill
ruled.
Moods that came out around that time, and it was like new age, stuff like that. And it had like
New Age,
Enigma
that's what it's called.
and
Yes. Pure
Enya and
Moods.
Pure
And Everyone is a
Moods. That's what
banger.
it
Yeah,
was.
Everyone is a
Uh,
banger, and I can still remember the little like medley in my head from the 2 a.m. commercials. Uh, and that's where I first heard Enya. And then I was in Phoenix, Arizona at the time, and we had two radio stations, I think three, that played like soft adult rock. And that kind of stuff was all over, and I was kind of into it at the time. And so that's the only, like, I only know Enya from her hits. So I chose Only Time because to me, it's like the biggest one. And I'm like, hey, this is recognizable. I can't screw this one up.
I know Enya from like obviously Lord of the Rings, and then I'm a big Devin Townsend fan, and he's like describes himself as the Enya of metal, doesn't he? And he really, really
Oh my
likes
God.
Enya.
No, he's not. What a goofball. Okay, I love that. No, I like his stuff. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
I
he's
first found Enya on a road trip. It was like my mom and I would listen to full albums at a time.
that's more peaceful than my childhood. My childhood was my mum playing punk music. Like we sat there on the PlayStation playing Simpsons Hit and Run with like just punk music blasting in my face. So
My dad was that figure in my life. He really liked Tool and Primus and stuff. So
Oh man, my parents. I mean, my that dad was born in the 50s and my mom was born in the 60s, and so for me it was being waken up at like, I don't know, 7 in the morning on like a Saturday or Sunday in high school, being irresponsibly hungover, and like Bad Company and Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith being played so freaking loud, and just getting waken up being like, all right, cool, go pull weeds, time to get up. And I would just do yard work listening to ballad rock. And that was how, and I was like, this is fine, I guess, but I want something harder. And then I heard Napalm Death, and then I was done forever.
I think like the heavier White Stripes songs, like Little Cream Soda and stuff, are like my gateway into like harder rock. They actually made a rule in our old neighborhood that you weren't allowed to, because it was like I lived in a suburb for a short period of time with like one of those, whatever you call it, homeowner things. There was like a committee, and they made a rule that you couldn't hear the music from outside of the house because my dad had a habit of listening to it too loud. And
Oh,
so that
wow.
would, yeah, I was like, no more music from outside the house. You got to turn that down a little bit.
I think if you live in Phoenix, Arizona, like you just get, like you have to play your music so loud that you can hear it outside of your house, like down the street. That's just like a rule. Everyone has to do
It's a
it. It's
requirement.
just like, yeah, it's just the trashiest like part of town ever. Like cars in the yard. Anyone who's gonna listen to this who's from Phoenix shouldn't be offended, because I'm pretty much nailing a big part of the area I grew up in. But it's everyone's got music playing. Everyone parties in their yard, barbecues all the time.
Yeah, we didn't last too
it's a
long in that neighborhood.
my own, like as in me discovering music like that was heavier, was more embarrassing. Did you guys in the US ever get like Busted, the band, with like it was like a British boy band, and then one of the members left and he had a band called Fight Star, and then I listened to them, and then I was watching like Kerrang TV, and then it got heavier and heavier, and then I was listening to like Metallica and Slayer. But my intro was boy bands. So
I went through a boy
No,
band phase in high school.
I never went through a boy band phase. I missed that entirely, because I think I was like in freshman year of high school when, like, I was like in 8th grade, freshman year of high school, so 8th or 9th grade, when boy bands really took off in America, at least. Because I think over in Europe and the UK, it was a lot sooner than that. Like Germany was apparently huge for that stuff in
that
like the
makes
mid
sense.
90s, and Mexico because they had Menudo. But like, yeah. So by the time boy bands were a thing, I was very into Insane Clown Posse and new
What
metal.
is a juggalo?
So Fear Factory was a big one for me when I was like 14. And I was like, Backstreet's back. Where did they go?
Be fair, Busted were like they were supposed to be like a punk band, like pop punk, but they was like with like the boy band vocals. And I was only like
Oh,
it was maybe 2003, so I was about 6. It's like
So they were ahead of their time, because I feel like that would really, that's like a day to remember kind of.
They've
Well,
just
no, day to
come
remember
back
is just
now.
pop punk with breakdowns. That's cool.
Yeah.
I loved A Day to Remember when they were, putting albums out still back then.
I used to really like A Day to Remember because I was one of those
Do
things
they still
where
make music?
I don't know. I
Did
don't
they
really
get
care.
canceled?
I think they did get
They
cancelled.
all those bands.
Oh,
Like,
you're making a
I'm not
joke.
gonna specifically say Day to Remember, but because I don't know. But there are like a shocking amount of bands that sound kind of like that like really fucked up and like did some horrible stuff. Like some of their band members did some really shitty things, and it's not until like recently when people are like, "Oh, so you're not supposed to have sex with children?"
No,
It's like,
that's why I
guys,
asked, because it's such a
we've known
weird,
that.
common thing with that scene. It's like every single
It's
band.
so
Like,
weird.
oh, another
Yeah.
one. Oh.
It's like how if you're listening to black metal and someone's got like a skull and crossbones or something kind of pagan, you have to like research to be like, wait, is this cool to listen to? And it's like with
Great,
that
now I
other
have
kind
to
of stuff.
vet you.
Yeah, and it's like with that other kind of music, it's like, oh, this breakdown hits. Oh shoot, I should probably look them up. Like
I
if
had
it's
that
a really
actually.
good breakdown, you gotta look it up.
I had that the other day. I was looking at Instagram and it was that Slaughter to Prevail band. I was like, oh, that guy's got some really cool, like powerful
That's
vocals.
the Russian
And then,
guy, right?
yeah. And then it's like he's got
Yeah.
Nazi tattoos and he's going on about
Yeah.
what did he call it? Like a heterosexual topic. Like, what does that even mean?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
he's
weird.
like he's like super straight or something or whatever that like
Yeah.
weird freaking transphobic thing is.
Yeah. And then the
Giga
worst part
straight.
was, yeah, Giga straight. But the worst part was then I used to be a massive like Venom Prison fan because I saw him at like Damnation in 2019, and then like the vocalist, she was just commenting under his thing, and I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake. She had some weird shit a few months ago anyway, and it was just like, I hate it.
There's a lot of I've been listening to a lot of deathcore lately. It's funny. So you had asked, you'd emailed and you'd said like, hey, what are some songs that you like listen to? That like get you inspired. And lately I've honestly been listening to a whole ton of like newer deathcore. And that's what's been really frustrating. It's like if you listen to the lyrics for anything except like, I don't know, newer Lorna Shore, it's all real bad. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
wow, this sucks. Like it makes me feel gross. So really I've just been listening to a ton of Lorna Shore lately. And that's the deathcore extent for me.
I
That
always
Will
found
guy, the
listening to,
hottie.
He kind of is, yeah.
I always found
Have you
like,
seen his video making animal sounds?
Oh yeah.
I'm
Doesn't
sorry,
he
I
trying
keep
to
interrupting.
he's trying to like do like a K9th thing or something, that band with pit bulls is the vocalist.
I've just
Sorry,
seen the
Olivia,
one
we
of
were
him
talking
like,
about deathcore.
it's, oh, I thought you were showing me something then. I was usually drinking from a
Mm-mm.
mug. But yeah, the only thing I've seen of the guy from Lorna Shore is him doing that video where they put the thing down his throat and like look at his vocal cords. Like, that was pretty cool.
Oh, I saw the thumbnail. I can't watch. I don't know. I feel like that's too gross. But I appreciate the scientific approach to it. They should do that to the guy from Cattle Decat too.
Yeah, they should.
What about the guy from Demolich?
From what?
Demolich? That dude said both are correct, and then my brain is like, that is not fair because I'll never be able to decide on my own. But the vocalist with the
alternate.
burpy vocals.
I'll have to look them up. I've never heard them.
You haven't?
I don't think I've heard them either.
What? Okay.
You're not talking about Cookie Monster's band, burpee
No.
vocals? That was a bad joke.
No.
So we'll go away from deathcore, get back to the black metal. So
yeah, sorry.
it's cool. I used to be a really big like deathcore fan as a teenager, and then I grew out of it, got into Chelsea Wolf and like Typo Negative for a bit, and then journeyed back and got into black metal. But
Typo Negative is a really good like if you're into this kind of metal, you'll probably like Typo. And you'll probably
great.
use that as a stepping stone to something else. Like they did that for me too. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I hate
so
that band.
you hate them? Why?
Personal preference. They're fine. I mean, they put out some great music that I don't like.
I will
know-
admit they are meatloaf. They're meatloaf, but goth. That's how I've heard them described, and I love that because I also like meatloaf.
Now all I can picture is like that bit in Rocky Horror where he comes out of like the freezer, but it's just Peter Steele riding out on a
Oh
motorbike.
hell yeah! Oh hell yeah! Peter Steele on a motorcycle? Yes.
Be pretty funny. So yeah, how do you both like? So you've released like 2 splits each this year, and then a demo as well.
Yeah.
How do you both make so much music to a good standard?
That's about all I do. I don't really go out much. If I have time after this before work, I'll probably sit down and write some guitar parts.
I think for me, I'll admit, I had a spell of about a year where I just like stopped doing anything and I just put down a ton of riffs and ideas and stuff like that, and I recorded. I had a bunch of sketches, and I spent the last like year and a half just going through and cleaning them up. It's like I already had all these sketches down, and all I had to do was kind of fill in the gaps and stuff like that. So like and I think I finally, after this release, I've got some remixes that I'm working on that I've been working on for too long that I need to release somehow. I'm trying to figure that out. And then I'll be totally empty. I'll have emptied out my cache. But like the song, so each of our sides on the split have 2 songs. One is an original, and both of us decided to go with like a 9+ minute long song each, which is awesome. And mine, I think I wrote and recorded like 80% of it like a year ago. I just was never satisfied with the vocals and the lyrics and some of the keyboard stuff. So I just went in and had to clean it up and was finally happy to release it when this came around. So really, it's just a bunch of hard work for a long time and then slowly releasing all of it because I have to tweak everything forever until I finally decide not to.
So are you a perfectionist then? Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I have really low self-esteem. So yeah, absolutely perfectionist. Like everything needs to be exactly how it is in my head. And usually it never gets to that point. And then I'm like, fine, screw it, whatever. This is trash. I'll just put it out anyway. And then people keep listening to it, even though I tell them not to. So
I appreciate the fact that both the songs are over 9 minutes because there's no point making a 4-minute song.
We
Everyone wants
didn't
to
want to
sit there
make
and
a
blackmail.
tape that was like, it felt like a waste of like materials and stuff to like put out a whole tape with a 3-minute side on each side. So I went with my longest one. And that also emptied out my back stash of songs. So
yeah, it always feels weird, especially working with tapes. I really like tapes, big tape fan myself. It always feels super weird having a tape with like total less than like 10 minutes. It feels like a waste of material. Yeah, like you said, it's just, I don't know. I feel like the fans deserve better. They deserve to be able to spend their money on a thing and be able to spend a decent amount of time on it, like listening to it or something. It's just weird. I've got a few tapes that I spent like $12 on, and I'm like, oh, cool. There's 3 songs, and they're like 3 minutes each, and that's it. It's a bummer. I don't want to do that to my fans.
I really like tapes. I'd never got like the hype about them before, but then this year it's like all the things I've liked that have come out this year have come out on tape, and I'm like, I just have to get it. Like the new Dawn Raid album, like I'd already had it on vinyl. I got it when I saw them, and then when they broke up, and they were like, I saw the tapes on Bandcamp. I'm like, I'm gonna have to buy this tape because it's gonna go away and I'll never get it again.
Yeah.
it's just like who has the space for vinyl or the money? It's
I
so
have
expensive.
both. I don't have the money. I'm not very good with money. So
Vinyl in this economy.
I literally
Yeah.
I was gonna say I was like, I need to stop buying stuff now. I need to budget myself. And then I went on this I think it's called Crypto the Wizard in London. They had a website. I was like, they got a website. I'll just look through it. And then bought the new Smolder album and that Lucifer Iron Shackles on vinyl because they were different colored. And then I was like, I'll just PayPal pay in 3 it. That's fine. Oh.
I had a record player before I moved to New York City. I mean, I've been here for like 15 years now, and like I was like, oh, well, I'll just leave it here and I'll get another one. I left it at my old house. And yeah, when I moved out here, I'm like, oh, this is too heavy. I can't buy a new one and carry it around. So that's why I like tapes, because they're way lighter weight.
Same. And CDs for that same reason.
Yeah, CDs, I feel like I'm not knocking on CDs. I feel weird about it because I'm like, oh, I have this plastic thing that's plastic that will degrade in like 10 or 15 years. I'm in the process of digitizing all of my old CDs right now because they're like flaking apart. But like, I have the digital version. So once I get it digitized, then I don't know. I'm still weird about buying CDs. I've got enough. I think I'm going to sell them all, and I don't know. Just go with tapes going forward. I'm still trying to figure that out. I think
I feel
about
like
things
you've just
too
had
much
a
like that, I guess.
crisis.
Oh, I have been for a
Yeah.
while. It's been months of crises for me. It's okay. That's my natural state.
Just a continuous one.
Yep.
I feel like it's the only way to live, just one crisis to the next.
It's been a 37-year
alert.
long crisis. Yeah.
So, how would you describe your sounds? Like, because I feel like I've seen like DSBM be like attached to it, but like this new like split, there's a lot of like atmospheric elements on it, and I suppose like being 10 minutes long, it's like it fits the atmospheric category. So I just wondered what you both thought.
I'd say my
I'm
track leans
interested to
more
hear how
into
you
the
said how you do.
atmospheric thing. Wait, what?
Oh, I was saying I'm interested to see how you describe your music.
I don't, honestly, it's hard to. I just like, if the riff sounds like good enough to nod my head to, then it's a good riff to me. But I do think I leaned kind of more into the Atmo Black aspects of like whatever sound I've already been working on, I guess. Like some of my newer stuff is more like black and roll, or maybe even leaning into like a bit of old school death metal. I got some like war metal inspired parts, but I really don't know. I'm bad at like visualizing and describing my music as a whole. I think it's kind of similar to how like I don't know. I can like picture other people's faces really well, but when I think of my own, it's like that's just a different thing in my brain. Things that come from me are like more of a theory. I don't know how to describe what I'm thinking.
I get that. So it's more like when you live with something for so long and you compartmentalize every single tiny bit, it's hard to like take a step back and look at it as a big picture and then describe it. I got the death metal vibes on the new stuff as well.
Like I'll never see my face with fresh eyes, like as a face that I've never seen before. And I'll never hear my music like completely objectively with a clean slate, like because I was the one that made it, you know? So I can't like go into it and listen to it as like a fan or someone else would because it came from in my brain. And that makes it hard to categorize things for me.
That's kind of cool. I don't know. That's kind of cool. I like that. That makes me think of like once you create art, it's no longer yours. Like once you put it out there, it belongs to everyone else and it's not yours. So like your take on it is sometimes irrelevant and might shape what other people think about it rather than it being a thing. That's kind of cool. I just say that I think when I first started making black metal, I was really into this idea of USBM, like American black metal, even though it's not really a genre. It's not really a style because a lot of the bands have some similarities, but overall, like people think of like Panopticon, Woe, Wolves in the Throne Room, and like they sound kind of different. I think for me, I'm gonna say I'm pretty these days. It's atmospheric black metal. That's what I'll call it. I don't make DSBM. I've tried.
Yeah, I
It's
wouldn't
not that
say
good.
that's. I had one song that kind of leaned into that, but I've seen that
Yeah.
tag attached to my music more often than I think it is appropriate, I guess. I don't know.
I think I did a split with Feminizer, and her stuff is DSBM. And I think
Yeah,
that's
totally.
after that is when people started tagging that to me. Like, she does it really well. Like, her and None to me are the two like big DSBM ones. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna say for me it's atmospheric black metal with a bunch of melodic death metal influences.
I feel like black metal is such a
That's
hard thing to like define anyway. Like I've been listening to a lot of Agalloch lately, and like a lot of clean singing and like acoustic guitar,
Mhm.
but then they're like heralded as like a big part of like atmospheric black metal. So
a lot of black. That's one thing I like about black metal. It's because there are rules. Like, there's a lot of these strict rules that you need to know in order to know how far you can deviate from it and still be called black metal. Like, it's the only genre I know of where bands regularly will put out very not black metal sounding songs, but still be
Yeah, I've
called black
never really
metal.
felt
Like,
like my stuff was like black metal. Like it's always just been metal in my head. Most of the stuff I'm influenced by is like new wave of British heavy metal stuff. You're like, that's a cool riff. Or like fart songs.
that's what's,
Um,
I mean, that's kind of neat though, because like black metal came from, if we're completely disregarding all of the really problematic stuff at the start of like the second wave, a lot of it just came from all these other directions and like reactions to stuff. No one was saying like, I want to make an album that sounds like this. They're like, I want to make an album that doesn't sound like that. And that's what they started going off of. So it's an entire movement that's kind of started from like anti whatever, if that makes sense. And so it's really just like from the beginning, people have been trying to shape it into whatever they think they want to listen to, I guess, which is, I guess, how my approach is, if that makes sense.
it makes sense.
Great.
So we asked you to, well, I did, as Rob is not here, asked you both to pick songs. We usually do 5, but then because there's both of you, I just thought it'd be fair to split it 50-50 and add this a 6th one. So I don't know if you both wanted to go through what they were, maybe one at a time, and tell us how you've been inspired by these songs.
Yes. I forgot the names of one of mine, so I'm gonna look that up really quick.
I can start while you're looking that up. I picked
Do that.
Procreation of the Wicked by Celtic Frost because I like the bendy riff, and that's all. That riff was enough to make me excited enough to go record a song of my own, which ended up being a track that will come out on a future split. Heart Barracuda because of that like dun 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 riff. I really like that. And then I forget the other one now. Do you have it handy? Here.
I will, but I can't find the mouse.
Here, I've got it. The second, oh, and Lifeline by Sacrilege, of course. That's like one of my favorite bands of all time. I don't know. I don't really have much of an explanation for that one though. It's just good song that I like. Gets me hyped.
I don't think I've listened to Sacrilege before, you know.
Me neither.
You're on that side of the planet. You should have heard Sacrilege.
Probably. I'm just a poser. I'm gonna get people to call me poser.
I haven't heard of a lot of the bands we've been talking about in this interview so far, so
Oh, it's cool.
I'm just a genre tourist.
Same.
Oh, I'm cult as fuck. So sorry, cult as fudge, cult as heck. So
You can
y'all are
swear.
posers, I guess. That's
I'm
right. Yes,
absolutely
I
not
can.
cult. I am untrue. I'm false.
You're cult, but it's spelled with a U and not a V.
I thought about like branding myself as poser metal to begin with, but I just thought like I'm not gonna go with a gimmick, but I am poser metal for sure.
I literally have a true cult tattoo because I appreciate the irony of being not so and having that as a tattoo. So
That's a
I have
lie.
an
You're just
Esther
edgy.
tattoo.
For me, the big one, the big song was this band False, which I think they're from like Wisconsin or Minnesota, somewhere around there. They broke up last year because their guitarist was like a sexual predator. So they found out and they're like, oh shoot, yeah, we're done. This sucks. But it was good while they were good. They have a song called Victual for Our Dead Selves, I think is what it is. But they're the kings and queens of super long, rambly, very thick sounding songs. I have one of their older tapes that I listen to a lot that are pretty inspiring when it comes to like mixing. I'm trying to get better at like making things sound big and full, and they're a big inspiration for that. Gosh, what was the other one? Spectral
Spectral
Wound.
Wound.
Yeah, Satanic Black something. I'm bad with song
Love
names.
them.
Satanic Black Glamour.
Yes. Spectral Wound rules. They are really good at doing like I just like wish I could I strive to be able to create a trill picked melody that is as good as theirs. Like they can just do it, and especially if they can nail the like vocal rhythm along with the like center black metal melody, it like really changes the whole song and it makes it sound less brutal and more like I don't know, it almost like tells a story melodically, which I really dig. And I try to do that in a lot of my songs. I'm not super successful in a lot of them, but the ones where I am successful, I think I do a really good job. Not to toot my own horn, I'm trying to get better at that. And then the third one was this song from a movie. It was not a great movie. It's called Metalhead. It's an Icelandic movie. And I think in Icelandic it's Malmhaus. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's pretty corny. It's this like it takes place in like the 90s. This like older teenage girl or like young 20-something girl lives on a farm with her parents in Iceland, and her brother's a big metalhead and he dies, and she wants to like keep his memory alive. So she starts a black metal band and plays a show at some like town hall or something, and it's too aggressive. And then she stops and does like a last minute, does like a toned down kind of like metalcore sounding version of the song, and it's really good. But the song is called Svartamar, which I don't speak Icelandic, but I'm guessing it means black hammer. It's on Spotify. The name of the band is listed as Metalhead, but it's really pretty, and she does a lot of the vocalist does a lot of really cool stuff with melody. But it's like just in this movie. It's not like a real band, so it felt weird. It's like saying that one of my favorite songs is like that song from the Goofy movie.
I really want to watch
Livewire.
Metalhouse or Metalhead.
It's
been like
it's worth it. It's worth watching if you can go into it knowing that it's visually it's really great. Sonically, it's great. The story is whatever, but I mean, what's cool is you could transplant that story to any farm town, any town in Iowa. I'm not going to name towns in the UK, but I'm assuming y'all have towns that are backwoods and farmy and stuff like that you could probably transplant that kind of attitude to as well.
Yeah, it's called Wrexham, where I'm from. No,
okay,
it's not. It's not. Yeah, but speaking of goofy movies as well, not the goofy movie, but goofy movies about metal. Have either of you seen Deathgasm?
No, what is that?
Oh, it's
I
it's
could
like
add that.
I think it's from New Zealand, and it's like they're both in a band, and they like summon a demon and this stuff, and it's really silly. You know the meme of like the guy in corpse paint sat on a bench with an ice cream next to like a normal looking girl.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That's from that film. So
Okay.
yeah, my sister really liked it, and then she showed me, and I was like, oh, it's really good. Good as in
That's
cheesy.
I think that's what's really fun about black metal. I think there are a lot of people who take it really seriously, and literally every portrayal of it that I've seen that isn't just the music is real corny. Like Lords of Chaos was such a goofy movie, lowercase g. And like I feel like that was them trying to be serious about it and show like this is brutal and stuff. But I don't know. It's like it's Macaulay Culkin's little brother, like in corpse paint. How serious can you be with that?
I feel like he was trying to be serious with it. Is it Jonas not Jonas Ackland? Yeah, Jonas
Yeah.
Ackland. He
Yeah.
did like the telephone video for Lady Gaga and stuff, didn't he? And he was in Bathory at one point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know. It's just goofy. And it's funny because I guess to bring it back to black metal, it's like it's a style of music that was made by a bunch of like rich white middle class kids in Norway. Like it's all pretend. It's all make believe. It's all fun. It's silly. And anyone who like deems it to be otherwise is just needs to go touch some grass or snow. They need to go touch some something outside.
I just keep thinking of a Goofy movie as in Goofy capital G, but like
Yeah.
Goofy decides to start a black metal band.
Or Max is really into this black metal band that's on tour, and he convinces his dad to go with him, like, and follow the band around. Someone needs to do this. And there's like a scene where he gets in corpse paint and he goes on stage at his school talent show and like does the song, but it's really bad.
I'm really lost.
Have you ever seen a Goofy movie?
No.
Oh, you're missing out. Well, I don't know. It's a Disney movie. It's like Goofy has a son and it's summer vacation and Goofy wants to take his son on a father-son road trip, and his son just wants to try to sneakily convince his dad to follow this like artist who's like a stand-in for like some Prince Michael Jackson hybrid so that he could get on TV during this show and convince this girl back home that he's friends with him, even though he's not, but he's going to try to sneak on to it's ridiculous, but the soundtrack is a bop. So
Yeah, that's got me, that has. Because all I can think about is I started playing that Disney it's called Dreamlight Valley, and I couldn't play it anymore because Goofy's every time you go near Goofy, the noises he makes make me feel like I'm gonna retch. Like, so I think it would be good.
I think I have to write that fan fiction.
Yeah. So I feel like this has taken its natural end because all I can think about is Goofy. So do you both want to plug some stuff?
Yeah,
I'm working on a full length and our split.
What do you have for your full length? You're working on like just your next one.
Yeah, debut album.
That's awesome.
I got about 4 songs, and it comes out to about 21 minutes so far. So probably about halfway done, I'd say.
I'm looking forward to hearing that. That's gonna be pretty sick.
I'm excited.
I have this split. I'm excited to hear it. Honestly, I'm super stoked on it. You've sent me a couple things that are really good.
Thank you.
I was a little thrown off by the like clown car horn sound effects that you use a lot. The like at every measure. It's really fun. I'm kidding.
I hope that's not
also,
a lie.
I really
hope
like
that's actually real.
You got like the Major League Gamer air horn sound as well. It's
Yes.
chocked full of record scratch noises.
But
And
you're
then
I
right
thought
that
the Vuvuzela edition was really great.
I've been throwing in DJ Khaled's vocal tag a lot.
I feel like
It's just a
I feel like you
habit.
need to get like Pitbull on there as well.
It's
Oh,
funny.
he
I'm working
is.
on a. I'm working with Jason Derulo on a remix of one of my songs.
I actually have just been named Mrs. Worldwide by Pitbull himself.
You need
So
Sean Paul as well. Like in work, they just play the song he did about like a woman raising a child that he featured on. And there's a bit where she talks about she can't afford a kid, and then he just goes in the background, daily struggle. And every time I hear it, it just cracks me up. It's fabulous. That's why I want to see it. If new metal's coming back, I want to see Sean Paul featuring on a song. I want to see Pitbull.
I'm gonna
We
talk
need
to
more.
Gary about that one.
There needs to be a lot more of that stuff in this newer new metal for sure. Like they need to bring that's an aspect they need to bring in, just like shout outs and stuff. Limp Bizkit
We
tried
need
it
some
a little
shining
bit.
stars of days past featured on these newer songs. You need to really pay your respect to the artists who, you know, walked so you could run. That's what I have to say to the new metal artists.
I just
Um,
I
Don't
I find it
forget where you
funny.
came from.
I find it funny because I don't use TikTok, but my partner Heather does, and like I kept seeing like loads of reels on Instagram with Deftones, and I'm like, why is everyone like Deftones now? And they're like, oh, Deftones are massive on like TikTok, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, White Pony is like one of my favorite albums, so it broke me a bit.
That's wild. I'm a huge Deftones fan. I didn't realize people like I don't know. I just remember like when I was younger, people were like, "Oh, Deftones suck. They're so basic." I'm like, "Yeah, but like so is Weezer, and Weezer kind of rips too.
I've
So
seen Weezer
doesn't
live.
disqualify them." That's
I
Weezer
work at
was
a
awesome.
sick
record shop
live.
and we sell a copy of White Pony maybe once a week,
It's
It's such a
good.
good album,
like
It
though.
was.
regularly still.
It's one of the like sexiest albums I've ever heard. It was like peak makeout music in 2002.
We sell a ton of corn still too, and then recently Incubus has been selling.
Weird.
I like Incubus.
Me too.
Things
Their
are
first
coming
couple
back
albums were
around, and you
really
see
good.
like they're young TikTok age kids, like Zoomers that are buying these albums mostly.
That's how I feel old
Good
now.
for
Like I'm
them.
27 and I'm like, I'm out. I feel like I'm too old for TikTok. I'm like, I'm out of touch, but I don't really care.
Yeah, I'm about to be 27.
I'm
It's all downhill.
I'm just gonna go over here and be older over here.
That's why you're my
Um,
auntie.
Yeah, yes, thank you. I can be an auntie. That's great. I turned 38 this week.
Yeah,
Turn
on the
the
release
turn.
day.
Oh, happy
Yeah,
birthday for them.
thank you. It's being released on my birthday, which is really fun.
I'm so happy about that.
I am too. And also that other album, Enormous Forest, what's the band name? The artist name is coming out the week after on Fiat, which is it's a good one. So I like that. We made a little bit of room for them. Anyway, no, a lot of the new metal stuff that's coming out that's like being revived. I'm like, oh, I bought this when it came out. Everyone likes Cold Chamber now. This rules. I loved Cold Chamber back in the day, and I got made fun of relentlessly for it.
It's like I'm no longer cringe anymore.
Yay!
I really like Devil Driver. Like when I was a teenager, like Clouds Over California slapped. Like, and that's like the
Devil
same
Driver
guy,
was
isn't
one
it?
of those. I like it is. It's the same vocalist, but it's like way heavier. It's like way. Cold Chamber was bouncy and poppy, and Devil Driver was like kind of death metal-y, which was dope. Oh, I've got the split coming out as well. I haven't started working on my next full length. I'm working on another side project. Nothing really to plug. I'm trying to do my other project and do it live, which will be fun. I just bought a new pedal board to try to fix all that. And apparently now I'm going to do a new metal project. I just decided right now.
Got to cash in on the hype train.
Yeah, I'll be like OTEP Part 2, only I'm actually good. Oh, shots fired for OTEP fans.
I don't really know what that is.
They were one of those bands back then that really hopped onto the like a rap metal thing. But the singer's this
Any
very
body
angsty,
count fans in
very
the room
angry
here?
woman.
I like body count, yeah. But
Talk,
then
talk shit, get shot. Fuck yeah.
he said some weird shit though, hasn't he, Ice-T? But like
I'm sure he
body
has.
count are really good.
I mean, Ice-T plays a cop on TV, so ACAB includes Ice-T, but still.
And Rick Ross. Rick Ross used to be a cop.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But a real one, not acting.
Oh my God. Ugh,
Isn't that crazy?
that's weird.
I'm sorry
I guess
to
it
bring
tra-
that up.
That's okay. That's okay. I mean, finding out that someone who's good at music is or like used to be a police officer is like, I guess it's just like finding out that someone used to be inappropriate with children or is a sex pest or is a Nazi. It's just something we have to deal with now.
Yeah, true.
So that's fun.
So we'll leave it with that. Cops are the same as all of those. Which
Yep.
is
I
I
mean,
kind of agree.
yeah.
Leave it to
Do you
us
think
to
do you
just
think
go
it'll be
completely
controversial?
unhinged.
Do you think it'll be controversial to your fans hearing
No.
two female black metal artists talk shit about cops?
I think we've actually like accidentally played the Dawn Raid song on the radio, you know, the fuck every cop who ever took a wage. I'm not going to say who that was, it's Rob, but so that's our sentiment. And if people don't already know our sentiment already, then
Well,
they can fuck up.
Rob seems nice. It's a shame he couldn't be here.
I know he's apparently vomiting, so I'd
Oh,
rather he
is he
stay
texting
away.
you live? Is he texting you live updates?
No,
You
no,
looked. It looked like you looked down at your phone. You're like, oh, he's vomiting right now.
Well, can you get him to record
No,
some
he-
samples for me?
I'll try.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
They'll probably make it on
Oh,
the
yeah.
album if you can pull it off.
Yeah.
I want to try to do more like samples of sounds. Like that's my goal for my next release is more noise stuff, more ambient sounds.
I want a
I
couple.
live next to a
I
freeway,
don't
so I'll
wanna,
get
like,
car sounds.
go too crazy, but I want some samples and I want one movie sample in the album. And I think I've got it picked out.
Ooh. I think
What
I want to do
genre is the movie?
more black.
What was that about what about the movie?
What genre is the movie?
It was called Ball of Fire, and it's about these like old guys who are writing an encyclopedia, and one of the guys is writing the language section and realizes he's not up to date on slang and that it moves much faster than he was aware of. So he goes out and like has a night on the town and meets this girl, and then he has to bring her back to the lab to like have a meeting and discuss slang terms and like take down all this information for his encyclopedia. But then she's like their workspace is a house and it's like back in the 40s, and at least the movie takes place in the 40s. I think it was a 1948 film. And so like that's kind of taboo that a young woman is living in a house full of bachelors and helping with this project. And there's so many great quotes about like, I can't believe I've just said these things to a woman and stuff like that.
That sounds so corny. I love it.
It's like pretty extreme, some of the quotes. They're like just comical at this point.
Yeah, so we will wrap it there as it's going to just spiral. So thank you for appearing.
Thank you.
Thanks for
having
having
us.
me.
You're both welcome.